Welcome to Macau for the first of two legs of the final races of the year for the TCR World Tour event of Macau, and in particular it is the Macau Guia race. The cars are working their way through the pit lane and doing some exploratory laps, some warm-up laps before the race gets underway. They have 4 minutes and 20 seconds in which to do it. It's a lovely day here at Macau, 21 degrees, it's sunny, there are no clouds in the sky. You get that beautiful look of the skyline here at Macau on a race the like of which there is no other on the planet. It is the week of the 70th Grand Prix for the Macau Grand Prix and two races for the Macau Guia race. This first leg about to get underway, around 9 laps of the Guia circuit here at Macau, and we are on board with the man that has won more touring car races than any other. Rob Huff makes his way around the Guia circuit, and David Addison in the commentary box alongside me. Rob Huff has something to prove today after yesterday qualified in 4th place.
And he was held up in that qualifying session by Michael Ashkener, who got a grid drop as a consequence of all of that, but in so doing, with the points awarded for qualifying, so Rob Huff ended up losing the championship lead, and it means that now Norbert Mikelish, who came here third, a point back on Rob and Jan Erlache. They were tied on points. Norbert Mikelish was third, 1 point back. He now is the championship leader. It means he's 6 ahead of Erlache and 10 ahead of Huffy. And Rob was Huff by name and nature after qualifying, because he was decidedly grumpy when he was approached by the championship officials. Or they did later apologise, but it shows how emotions run high. And having been impeded, he was very, very unhappy about it. And the net result of all of that, as I say, was the grid drop for Ashkener. But it doesn't really change life for Rob Huff in terms of the points that he was able to score in the qualifying session. So here is your new championship leader, Norbert Mikelish.
Not only that, but also pole position sitter for this first leg of the weekend, threading his way around the circuit. He's got a good pedigree here at Macau as well as Norbert. Makes his way around the tight and twisty section, even finds space to weave the car at every possible opportunity to get a bit of heat into those tyres on what is a very, very sunny day here at Macau. It's a beautiful day. The grandstands are packed, of course they are, and everyone is catered for. If you like your touring cars, if you like your GT cars, if you like your single-seaters or your motorcycles, we've got something for you. And a real feast of touring car action today. We've already had the Chinese Touring Car Championship working for the Macau Touring Car Cup. And now leg 1 for the Macau Guia race. That gets underway tomorrow at 10:35 tomorrow morning. And we're about to get a few words from pit lane ahead of this race. And Paul Jeffries is down there in the pit lane. Let's get down in the sunshine to Paul.
Hello everybody and welcome to the pit lane down here at Macau, and let me tell you, the atmosphere is electric down here. Ahead of the first race of the weekend, just pulled up on the grid is Jan Erlache. Jan, if we could have a quick word with you. First race of the weekend, how are you feeling? How's the car? How's your prospects?
Car is good, mate. I feel all right, you know. I'm working every day of my life to be in this position, so no reason to put any extra pressure. Just enjoying the fight for the championship, you know, in Macau. It just feels amazing. I remember when I was a kid watching Ivan fighting for the title here, and now it's just pure fun.
And you said that the qualifying lap was one of the laps of your life. Just how exciting is it to drive on this circuit?
You know, it's like when you do like a racetrack like here in Macau, when you push the limit, I touched the wall 3 times, I had 40 kilo in the car, so I knew that it was all or nothing, so I had to give everything. So for sure, it's like an amazing feeling to put a lap like this on the edge in Macau.
Fantastic. Jan, have a very good race. Thank you for your time. Jan Erlache, of course, for Cyan Racing Link & Co., one of the 3 drivers that head into this weekend as a championship contender. Bebu Girolami that we can see here in the Honda, he's not in his car at the moment, so we will come back to Bebu. One man I do want to speak to is Rob Huff. So let's see if we can have a quick word with the self-styled King of Macau. Mr. Rob Huff, can we have a quick word? how are you feeling ahead of this race?
A little bit hot. It's very warm down here. I think, you know, at the end of the day, I think it's almost a perfect finale. You know, top 3 in the championship on the top 4 of the grid. Makes for an interesting, spicy finish, doesn't it?
It really does. And you are somewhat of a master around here. What's the strategy going into this start?
I mean, ultimately, Norby and Jan obviously qualified ahead of us. They stole some points from us, so we need to try and work on getting them back. But ultimately, the big hunt is tomorrow's race. You know, we need to get through today with some good points, try and stay as close as possible, or close the gap as much as possible, and then yeah, that sets us up for one hell of a final.
Fantastic, Rob. Very best of luck. We'll look forward to watching the charge. So, of course, Rob Huff for Come2You Racing in the Audi. Had a great season, won a number of races already this season, and as somewhat of a master at Macau, it'll be interesting to see if he can move forward. We've seen Mikel Azcona in the car here at the minute. Mikel started in 4th. Let me see if I can try and slide my way in here and have a quick word with Mikel. Mikel, okay for a quick word? Okay. How are you feeling ahead of the race?
Yeah, it feels really good, to be honest, after very good qualifying yesterday, being the fastest man. If you take the ideal lap time, you always feel with a very full confidence going ahead into the first race. It's a shame that we dropped 3 positions by this penalty yesterday, but you know, now we focus on race 1, so we're gonna give everything to try to go in the first position, and obviously, you know, Norby is alone. I will try to help him.
Mikel, appreciate it. Have a good race. Thank you very much. Almost got crushed by Hyundai there, so that's 1 to tap on to my list of things I've achieved. As you can see, the grid's really filling up now. The crowds are very expectant of what should be an interesting race. It's the first of 2 this weekend. 10 points separate our 3 drivers, led by Norbert Mikulix for the Hyundai BRCN Squadra Corsa team. 6 points in arrears, Jan Elishay, and then 10 points for Rob Huff. It's going to be a great race. So I think now it feels like a good time to head back to our commentary teams before we get on the track and go racing.
So the grid formed, and very shortly the installation lap will be underway. Then it is a busy grid, and tomorrow set to be even busier here at Macau. And with temperatures rising, we are just about 1 o'clock local time now. So understandably, when Rob Huff said it's pretty hot down here, he's of course in his overalls and his helmet and hands device. He's about to get into a hot car as well. Then for 9 laps, the Guia race. It doesn't sound like a lot, only a 9-lap race, but it's still a lot of kilometres to cover around here, and an awful lot can happen in it.
It's enough. It's enough, because these races always give us some tremendous excitement, that's for sure. Absolutely sure. And good to hear from the drivers down on the grid. Good to hear from Rob Huff, because wherever you are in the world, you'll be tuning in to find out whether your favourite driver is going to command the Guia circuit here at Macau. Confirmation of the driver standings in the TCR World Tour event. Norby Mikulix with 398 points, from Jan Elishay with 392 points, and Rob Huff there in 388. Rob making the point that the top 3 in the championship are covered in the top 4 on the grid, so this is going to be quite some battle, isn't it? I know Rob's family are tuned in. His mum and dad, Peter and Kate, they'll be tuned in. So too his sister, Francesca, and nerves are jangling ahead of this penultimate race of the World Tour event. They're used to this. They remember doing this in 2012, cheering on their boy, their lad, who claimed the World Touring Car Championship title here at Macau. He is an expert here. He was uncharacteristically a little bit grumpy at the end of qualifying yesterday. And after the investigation by the stewards, with good reason being held up right at the end, because we noted at the start of that lap that he had engaged full Huff mode around the Guia circuit, but was never allowed the chance to shine.
We did know that something was amiss when he came down the pit lane, because he was clearly on the radio to Paul Ridgway, his engineer. There was lots of hand gesturing as he was talking through the lap, and was, pretty unhappy about it.
He was gesticulating in the car.
But 4th is where he starts, and if anybody can make progress from there, it is Rob Huff. So expect a demon start. Of course, what doesn't help is that the championship leader, his main rival now, Norbert Mikulix, will start on pole position. and also going against Huffy is that he hasn't really got much help from teammates around him. He's a bit of a lone furrow plougher there, because the next of the Audis is Fred Vervish, and he will start way back 7th, and then it's John Filippi, and he's going to start 8th on the grid. So Rob has to do it himself, whereas Norbert Mikelic does have at least one Hyundai up there. That said, Jan Erlaché, who's also in the title fight, well clear of his teammates, because Ma Xinghua is 6th, Ted Bjork is 9th, and Santiago Urrutia will be 10th on the grid. So really none of them can perhaps rely too much on their teammates, because they're all ahead of them.
Yeah, they are. It might be interesting to watch what sort of start Fred Vervish gets, actually, from the 4th row of the grid, the inside of the 4th row of the grid, with Mikkel Ashkona just directly in front in the Hyundai. So you said quite rightly that Rob's teammates are a row back. However, there is something that Fred Vervish could do off the line, is there not? And something that John Filippi could be involved in as well. Going to need to get a really good start, and good to see that Rob is in good spirits ahead of this race, away from the camera. Ma Xinghua, of course, is another driver that has a huge amount of support around the world, and a huge amount of success here at Macau and in touring cars around the world as well. Qualified in 6th place, and chance for a couple of last words with the team before we get this race underway. Qualified in 6th place, Ma Xinghua. Fred Vervish, that is the teammate of Rob Huff. They were going around the Macau Grand Prix Museum together a couple of days ago. They had a little tour guide to take them around. I'm sure Rob just wanted to go to his waxwork, didn't he? He is the only driver on the grid to have his own waxwork, and with good reason as well. Huffy has had such success here.
Yeah, last year he wasn't in the Guia race, was he? He was in the Macau Touring Car Cup, but he won one of those races anyway, and was absolutely electric in the MG. So here in the car that he's been driving all season, at a circuit he knows, a circuit he loves, but a circuit he respects. He appreciates where it can bite, so he'll be doing this the intelligent way. Ted Bjork, good to have the former sports car racer as part of that Link & Co squad, but he is lining up 9th. The Link & Co's all with 40 kilos of weight. The Link & Co's of Jan Erlaché, Santiago Urrutia and Ted Bjork. So those 40 kilos for Erlaché particularly significant in terms of him trying to fend off Rob Huff, whose car should be that little bit lighter and maybe have a slight advantage at certain parts of the circuit. Grid now starting to be cleared, as we will have the green flag in just under 2 minutes' time.
And so, yeah, all of the glitz and glamour that precedes races here at Macau cleared off the grid, including, I think, a very large, was it a chicken? Was it a pheasant?
Sorry, what?
The large cuddly bird that made it onto the grid.
I didn't see a large cuddly bird.
You've
been at the metal polish again, Hyde. You're talking out loud again.
I did, yeah.
Yes.
Had tails and everything. Yeah, okay. All right. Let's get on with the race, shall we?
Fine, what a good idea. So it is going to be Hyundai and Link & Co at the front of the grid, Honda and Audi on the 2nd row, the Honda being that of Nestor Girolami. That is Ben Bargwanna, son of Jason Bargwanna, who's been a great character all weekend, and Ben did a really good job to get himself into the top 12 shootout. In the end, he has ended up 11th, so he's going to miss out on the reverse grid. But it's been quite a turnaround for the weekend for the Australian, because the Claret built, Teddy Claret's team, Peugeot, stopped in free practice with rising water temperatures, and yet he was the last man across the line in Q1 and did enough to get himself into Q2, and in so doing, bumped one or two of the other fancied drivers out of the equation, but it was a really, really good effort to do so. You see the grid scroll through. Norbert Mikelic at the front, with Jan Erlaché for company, ahead of Nestor Girolami and Rob Huff on the 2nd row. The 3rd row, Mikkel Ashkona and Ma Xinghua. Then it's Fred Vervish ahead of John Filippi, Ted Bjork, and to round out the top 10, Santiago Urrutia. Ben Bargwanna is on the 6th row with Lo Se-ho, one of the local drivers that qualified through TCR Asia last week. He in turn is ahead of Yan Chuang and Paul Poon. He's got a good track record here, as Alan will explain in a moment. Next up is Tian Kai and Deng Bao Wei with Marco Butti to round out the grid.
Yeah, Paul Poon, a multiple saloon car, touring car winner here at Macau from the various categories that we have racing. Green flag is waved and the cars get off on their final warming up lap. This is going to be critical, as much heat into the tyres, and yeah, Rob Huff straight away off the line, weaving the car, and that means that every little weave from side to side, absolutely critical for the start of this race. Making up places, so too for the pole sitter, Norby Michelitz weaves the car. He's got success in his history here at Macau. And so too was Jan Erlache. All of them know this circuit. All of them know this circuit can bite. And having a conversation with Rob Huff just a few nights ago on Tuesday evening, he was saying that even he, with all the success, he breathes in at Mandarin Corner, and it's always a bit of nerves as you go around that very, very fast corner on the run down to the overtaking position on the circuit, the favoured and preferred overtaking point down at Lisboa. That said, if you're in a touring car, you can squeeze through on the tight and twisty part of the circuit. See Rob do that, and I can't bear to look, to be perfectly honest. He does. Barely blinks when he's at the wheel of the car around this track.
Well, the man behind the Motorsport Coffee brand hopefully will have had a double shot, because that's going to stand him in good stead then for the next 9 laps as he generates the warmth in the Kumho rubber, ready to get round to the grid. This is how we now stand in the championship then. So Norbert Mikulich 6 up on Jan Erlache and 10 up on Rob Huff, but it could all shuffle again come the end of the next 9 laps. One or two slightly nervous faces peer on their look from the Hyundai pit box as they wait for Mikael Ashkana and Norbert Mikulich to slot back into place on the grid. The BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa, the Hyundai Elantras these days. Hyundai has got through quite a lot of its model range in TCR rule set, taking on the Audi RS3 of Rob Huff, and of course the Lincoln Co. of Jan Erlache. The Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. 03 FL TCR to give it its full title. To come to you, the team that's been operating Audis both in touring cars and GTs this year, they look on and will be very expectant indeed from Rob Huff's first lap, and it's going to be spectacular to say the least.
It most certainly will, and we've got quite a few significant on-board shots as well, not least on board with the King of Macau, Rob Huff, weaving the car to get as much heat into the tyres before the start of the race as he possibly can. Yes, indeed, the rest of the field do threading their way around Donna Maria. The long left-hander downhill to the Melco hairpin, single file through the hairpin. Road cars get bigger and bigger as the years go on, and so too therefore to touring cars, and that makes it even more tricky negotiating the Melco hairpin. No overtaking throughout. It's always good, that shot of the driver working at the pedals as well. You see just how smooth the application of the pedals, either one of them.
So this, the wide part of the circuit, this section that brings you from Fisherman's Bend round to Lisboa, and then boy does it narrow after that. But to the grid comes the championship leader, Norbert Mikulich, and as he slots into place then in the Hyundai Elantra, it's the 1x1 staggered grid formation, so he's got that car's length advantage over the opposition for when we do go racing. Everybody else slots into place around him, but Mikulich, who has been the World Touring Car Cup champion back in 2019, Seat Leon Euro Cup champion a decade before that, is the man on pole position. This is race 1 of 2 in the Kumho TCR World Tour event of Macau. It's the first race that constitutes the Guia race at the Macau Grand Prix.
Certainly does, and the nerves continue to rise, not just on the grid but around the world, for all the support that these drivers will get for the first leg of the Macau Guia race this weekend, the final meeting of the year for the Kumho TCR World Tour event here at Macau. Green flag at the back, the engine notes rise, we're about to get the lights on, 5 lights on, they go off and we get the race underway. Who gets the best start? Rob Huff gets a good start, quickly off the line, slots in behind. He's going to set himself up for being very, very close to Guia Army as as they go down towards, well, turn one. They get through turn one. Does everyone get through okay? They do.
Dreadful start by Air Lachey, though. That car staggered off the line, and so one of the three in the hunt for the championship has gone backwards in a big, big hurry. So Rob Half-One up into third place. He's on the tail of Girolami as they come down to Lisboa, and it is Norbert Mikulic in the lead as he tries to go defensive. Huff goes to the outside line, look at the blue Audi. Can he get the undercut coming out of the corner? Let's see. Mikulic under big, big pressure from Girolami. They go right at Lisboa. So far, so good. Huff looks on the inside. 1 or 2 run wide. Marco Butti just skims against the barrier in the back of the pack then as they climb the hill. That 1 of 9.
I reckon that's probably the best you could hope for off the line for Rob Huff. Up into third place, he's in a podium position and carrying good pace as well. There was a little wiggle just in front of him. That shows how much pressure there was moving into Lisboa.
That's Air Lachey trying to get back ahead of John Philippi and salvage something out of his dreadful start. Yan Twang's red Lincoln Clo drops down the hill for the first time, but it's Mikulic and Girolami, and it's not going to be long before Rob Huff is lining up the Honda to get second place. So he's a man in a big, big hurry.
He certainly is, and Rob Huff keeping as close as he possibly can, keeping up the pressure on Girolami in second place as they thread their way through the tight twists of the top part of the Macau Guia circuit. Then the circuit around, ultimately, one of the pinch points on the top part of the circuit at Police, then into Moorish. It's a very short blast that they can get caught out on either one of these two right-handers, and then into the left-hander at Donna Maria. Tightens up on the exit, does Donna Maria. As a result of that, you can see a little bit of a lock-up there, bit of tyre smoke as they thread their way around Donna Maria, then single file into the Melco hairpin. Down from the Melco hairpin. Now we begin to see the power come in, and Rob Huff needs to stay very, very close to the back of Girolami.
Yellow flag at turn 15 within sector 4, and that's the reason why, because Tian Kai has hit the barrier and he's ended up in the middle of the road, and there's just about room for the medical team cars to squeeze by. Hopefully that can be moved out of harm's way as the cars now come down towards the end of lap number 1. And here, look, Mikulic is trying to build that gap over Girolami. Huff in third, trying to get close enough to make a run on the way down towards Lisboa, and the move starts now, really. This is where he's got to be really, really brave. Going through Reservoir, trying to get in the toe. In fourth place over the line is Ashkener. Fifth is Verviche. Sixth is Marchinquois. And down to seventh from second on the grid is Yan Air Lachey. So that's one of those three title fighters who has taken a step back, really, because of that bad start. Girolami doing a good job in the Honda in second place, and Huff not close enough to attack here.
No, not close enough, and in turn, he's looking in his mirrors because he's under pressure from Ashkener directly behind as they go down into the right-hander at Lisboa. So no attack from Huffy, defence for Huffy in third place. They turn now into San Francisco, and they've got this problem, of course, in Sector 4. Are they going to get that car lifted and the circuit clear by the time the cars come up towards that point on the circuit? I fancy probably not.
Oh, I was going to say yes, I reckon they will, because they were doing such a good job, but we will see. Yellow flags are being shown anyway, so keep an eye to it. They are approaching the end of Sector 2 then, as the yellow flags will be shown. Look back from Norbert Mikulic's car, past the wall, thread your way between the stone and the concrete either side. It's still Girolami second. Rob Huff not close enough on this part of the circuit to make a move. But Norbert Mikulic is doing everything absolutely right, isn't he? Converting pole position into the race lead. Ashkener fourth, Verviche fifth, Marchinquois in sixth place. As dropping downhill comes Mikulic, approaching that incident zone. And let's see, we've gone green flag once more, so the road should be clear for the leaders to come through. It is, and they make the climb up the hill with Rob Huff then now in the first sector a little bit quicker, in the second a little bit slower, in the third sector a little bit slower than Girolami. And the Honda, if anything, looking nearer now to the back of the Hyundai.
And just to note as well from race control that after that incident there is a slippery surface down there. You just saw the yellow flag that goes throughout the race weekend. It just means no overtaking at the Melco hairpin, and it's single file all the way around the corner. They all concertina up, they get in a train as they head through the corner, and just a reminder of exactly how that happened. Horrible, horrible, horrible understeer, just gets it wrong. I don't think the car touched anything, did it?
No, I think it stalled as Tian Kai was so late on the brakes, and he just let the revs dip. He was so focused on trying to keep it off anything solid, and the net result of that was, as you saw, that it just expired on the racetrack. Leaders come through then at the end of the lap. and it remains Norbert Mikelic ahead, about half, falling back from Girolami now. It was 6/10 last time, and now as they go through it is 9/10, and Girolami in second spot has just done the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, so Nestor Girolami in second place, car 1:29, 0.7 of a second behind the race leader, but with the fastest lap of the race as well. He has brought himself a little bit of a cushion between himself and Rob Huff in third place. Almost a second the advantage, 2 minutes 30.581 was the fastest lap of the race. Ashkener had put in the fastest first sector. That's taken away by Fred Mavish, who comes through in 5th place. And that's the cushion that maybe Rob Huff was hoping was going to get past Michael Ashkener and take the pressure off the back of Rob Huff's car. That hasn't happened. It's 0.7 of an advantage that Rob has over Michael Ashkener. And the two of those having their own little moments in qualifying yesterday.
We had the switch, I think, between the Lincoln Co's, haven't we? With Yann Erlaché being allowed up past Marcin Croix. Yes, we have. So that's given a bit more of an advantage to Erlaché, but he's really struggling in 6th now, relative to second on the grid, after that really bad start. The car just crawled away. You saw the front of the grid flooding past him. Ashkener with an absolute best in the sector, so too Vervish. Look back from the leader. It is Norbert Mikelic then on this lap 3 out of the 9, and Ashkener getting onto the tail of Rob Huff. So, as Alan was suggesting, they had their little drama together in qualifying yesterday, and Ashkener, another one trying to rebuild his race here. And of course, were he to get ahead of Huff, that would be really good for the team, really good for teammate Norbert Mikelic, as he takes points away from the Brit.
Yann Erlaché in 7th place has just put in the overall best in sector 3, so that's a recovery from the rather poor start that Yann Erlaché had to endure. Dropped all the way down. He's in 7th place. He's put in an overall best.
6th, of course, having got past Xinhua because he let him by, didn't he?
Yeah.
So, yeah, on this lap, he's gained that place. So he, in turn, is closing on Vervish now, Erlaché. He's another one trying to rebuild the race. It's fascinating how this is all panning out, isn't it? And with the teammates in this as well to affect things.
Yeah, and plenty of teammates there are as well in the TCR World Tour event. First year that we've had this World Tour. It's taken in some quite splendid circuits around the world and has proved to be very, very successful. World-class drivers in touring cars competing against each other. They all know each other. They've been racing against each other for many, many years. Norbert Mikelic comes through and completes what is the fastest lap of the race. 3 laps complete, 2:29.768 for the race leader. Just as well, he's got a rear-facing camera. That's the only one we need at the moment.
This is Yann Erlaché then in that 6th place, and he's going after Vervish, who needs to hang on to that place to protect Rob Huff. And Huff in turn is still 8/10 back. He was fractionally quicker last time through than was Nestor Girolami, but look behind, because there you can see Ashkener, number 196, right on the back of the Audi. So suddenly Huff has to think about defending rather than attacking, and life becomes very different indeed. Ashkener got the absolute best first sector time on this run down to Lisboa. He's right on the back of Huff as they climb the hill now.
Yeah, so under pressure is Rob Huff in 3rd place. Ashkener right there on this tight and twisty section, at the very section that we've seen overtaking in World Touring cars in previous years, World TCR as well. You can just squeeze through. You have to breathe in. You have to be aware that you're not going to have mirrors at the end of it, but there is just enough room for 2 touring cars. Whether that's going to happen on this lap or not, probably not, because at the moment I think Ashkener is just hoping that Rob Huff uncharacteristically is going to make the slightest of slip-ups on this part of the circuit to offer an opportunity to take 3rd place away. Ashkener with the overall best in sector 1, right on the tail of Rob Huff.
What's rather more worrying in a way is that the Audi doesn't have the pace to stay with Girolami nor get away from Ashkener. Now, okay, Ashkener notionally out-qualified Rob, so we know the Hyundai is quick. He was behind him on the grid because of the drop that he got as the penalty for impeding, but this would predictably give Mikelic a greater advantage in the championship, given that he leads the race, 18 points, so that's going to make it very difficult for anybody to overturn that tomorrow. It's possible, but it's very difficult, so Huff needs a place, he knows it, and of course were he to lose that place to Ashkener and lose yet further points to Mikelic, it virtually gives Norby the championship. So Rob has got to keep fighting here.
It's not really been just the story of this race that the Audi has maybe just been a little bit down on pace compared to those around. namely the Lincoln Co's and also the Hyundais. It's just been a little bit breathless over the course of 2 days running up to now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's never quite looked as good as the Hyundais, although the RS3 is a relatively old car these days. Still very rapid in normal circumstances, but you wonder whether it's coming to the end of its development, and with Audi Sport effectively terminating its customer racing program at the end of the year, you wonder whether it can go any further. They've got as much out of that car as is now possible. But Rob Huff will compensate for that. Look how quick he is. But Ashkin is even quicker, going through Mandarin, closing down towards Lisboa. Huff goes defensive on the inside. Ashkin feints to the outside line as they hit the brakes. He's alongside on the outside line. This for third place. Ashkin in the Hyundai goes toe-to-toe with Rob Huff. And Huffy has got sharp elbows. He sticks them out and he hangs on to third.
That's class driving though, isn't it? No contact between the two of them on their battle down into Lisboa. It could have oh so easily have gone wrong between the two of them, side by side into the right-hander, but it didn't. They gave each other racing room, and that was a very, very entertaining moment, the two of them going side by side, particularly after what happened in qualifying yesterday.
Under investigation for their starting position, Fred Verviche. It may have been that he just crept slightly in advance of the white line for his grid box, but Fred Verviche is 5th on the road at the moment. Mikulic leads Girolami, leads Huff. Ashkener 4th, Verviche ahead of Erlaché. Then it is Marc from Buick, from Urrutia, and John Philippe, the French driver, in the 3rd. Comptu Audi is there in 10th spot. We are currently on lap number 5.
We are, and Rob Huff didn't like that going side by side, so he's pulled away a little bit and has got himself a little bit of a breathing space behind him, and that means that now he's not having to defend quite so vehemently. He can maybe do something about bringing down the gap between himself and second place, with Nestor Girolami in second place. That gap had really extended while Rob was having to defend from Mikel Ascona. Gave us a great moment, didn't it? Side by side into Lisboa. That's one to savour.
It's proper touring car racers driving touring cars properly.
Yeah.
And it was great to see. I agree. There, off the road though, and in the wall, 21, that is Paul Poon. There's another car involved, which I fear is Yan Chuang's Lincoln Co. But Paul Poon is up against the wall. So we've got drama at the S's. It was Yan Chuang. He has got going again. And let's hope then that that car can be moved either under its own power or with a little bit of quick assistance. And I think Paul Poon is on its way. Yes, Deng Bao Wei goes through. Paul Poon, as we were hearing pre-race, has a good track record in some of the support races over the years here. But he's got going now, and the road therefore is clear. We've got 5 of the 9 laps in the book. Mikulic leading by 1.6 seconds, and the gap Girolami to Huff. It's 1.4, so it's still advantage Honda. It
certainly is, yeah. Rob Huff doing everything he could on that previous lap. The good news is that he is that much further ahead of Mikel Ascona in 4th place. So now Rob can maybe get his head down a little bit, put in a couple of those huffy laps around Macau, and see if he can bring down that gap from 1.4 seconds to second place to a little bit closer, to maybe think about putting Girolami under a little bit of pressure around San Francisco. Up the hill they go, and this is where the circuit really does tighten up. Wall on one side, barrier on the other side. Wall on one side, barrier on the other side, and then it swaps around. So there is no room for error here on the tight and twisty section. That's Teddy Yip that they're going into, the left-hander at Teddy Yip, one of the names synonymous with the 70 years of the Macau Grand Prix, and celebrated in the Macau Grand Prix Museum, which is a quite superb visit. If you have never been to Macau for the Macau Grand Prix, I urge you to do so. It's a unique motorsport event. It's a festival of motorsport, and they really know what they're doing to put on a street race. These are the streets of Macau.
So you're riding with Erlaché. He is in 6th spot and edging closer to the back of Fred Verviche then. And every place Erlaché gains is to his benefit, because it keeps him in the mix for the championship. Ashkener is coming back at Huff then on this lap number 6. Make the climb towards Donna Maria now through that long left, and then the short run down towards Malco hairpin. Norbert Mikulic still leading the way. So championship leader is race leader. He took the points for qualifying yesterday. And there, look, really close under braking for the hairpin is Ashkener back onto the tail of Huff. And Verviche and Erlaché are not that far behind. The top 2 escaping. I hesitate to say that Rob Huff is the cork in the bottle, but I fear that before long he's going to have quite a queue of cars behind him.
Not a phrase we use often around the streets of Macau, and Rob Huff never Do I remember using that phrase before about Rob? But yeah, unfortunately, that is the way it's rather looking at the moment, because they are queuing up behind. Ashkana right there behind Fabish, and El Ashe right there in turn behind them, up towards the conclusion of what is going to be 7 laps in the book, the conclusion of this lap. 3 laps to go at Macau for the first leg of the Macau Guia race here for the 70th Macau Grand Prix.
So you look back then from Rob Huff's car, we saw a lap ago how brave through Mandarin Mikael Ashkana was, and he's going to do it again. Huff goes defensive, covers off the inside line. Ashkana once more has only the outside line to try. This time he's alongside, he brakes late, he's got his nose in front. The Audi quivers under braking, they touch. Ashkana gets forced out wide, he just misses the barrier. Huff hangs on to third, but that time there was just a little rub between the two of them. This is getting ever more intense, isn't it, as Rob Huff desperately tries to hang on to a podium place and the points for third.
Get a replay of this as well. What a moment it was as the two of them went into Lisboa. Let's have a look. So Ashkana on the outside just wiggles. He's so lucky to have not had to go down the escape road, and so lucky to have not glanced the barrier on the exits of Lisboa. What a moment between these two.
So late on the brakes, you could see Rob Huff's car quivering as he stood on the anchors, his foot nearly through the floorboards to try and get the car slowed down, and as it did, the car had a little hop and a skip and just rubbed up against Ashkana. Nothing deliberate about it, but that's just how committed the pair of them are, that ultra fast part of the circuit down to the heaviest braking zone. Right, so Huff is still third and Ashkana fourth, and of course he served in 10. Rob will know what's coming next time through.
He certainly will. Yeah, we've had 2 laps now when the two of them have gone side by side on the run down towards Lisboa, and it's a mouth-watering prospect that may well continue for the remainder of this race. A great battle, but it's only for third place, and for Rob Huff that's not going to be good news, because Norbert Mikulits continues to lead. In second place it's still Nestor Girolami, and that gap at the end of the previous lap between second and third, so Girolami backs a Huff, was 1.6 seconds, not close enough.
Through Black Sounds and then down to Fisherman's Bend, the race leaders come. This is lap 7, so it's going to be 2 to go this time, and Rob Huff, because of having to defend, has fallen a long way back from Nestor Girolami, who in turn is close but not close enough to Norbert Mikulic. It's still about 1.5 seconds between those two. Right, so Ashkana's big move at Lisboa, take 3, starts now with a good run out of our bend. This though is Jan Elache, who is still on the tail of Fred Verviche, but equally not quite close enough to be able to challenge. So he's got the Audi in his sights, but with the 40 kilos of success weight aboard the Link & Co, he doesn't have the pace to be able to close on the Audi that looks to scamper away once again. Watch Ashkana now. He's going to be really quick out of Mandarin, and then the move possibly at Lisboa will come once again. He's in the wheel tracks of the Audi. Look back from the Audi. That's Ashkana behind. And maybe on this lap, Ashkana is not quite as keen to try. He's not. Maybe he wasn't as close either. So Rob Huff covers off that line and covers off third place. But Ashkana has a look at San Francisco. No way through there. Both of them totally committed to finishing third.
No further action about Fred Verviche about the start of the race, so that comes up from race control, and I'm not sure if anyone was expecting that little cheeky look going into San Francisco. Not sure that that overtaking manoeuvre works an awful lot, but Rob was able to maybe relax for a moment. Yep, no challenge here going into Lisboa, and whoops, here he comes. He's doing it into San Francisco. No, just slotted in behind, so the element of surprise, I reckon, now for this battle for third place.
I think that surprised everybody, but it was a bit cheeky by Mikael Ashkana. Didn't work, but you can see that he's utterly committed to getting this place away from Rob Huff, and this is how it looked from a different angle. So there was a gap, but I think Ashkana thought, no, discretion, better part of valour and all of that, and slotted in behind, because to go off completely would be really bad news. That lead gap looking like it's come down just a little bit between Mikulic and Girolami. I'm not convinced that Nestor is going to get close enough to challenge with only a lap to run, but he has taken 4/10 out of it.
Yep, so the gap has come down to just over 1 second between first and second. Michelitz and Girolami, they continue to be in first and second place with this battle heading around the Melco hairpin. down through Black Sands and the run down towards the fast part of the circuit now. What are we going to see in this battle for third place with Rob Huff in third place? Needs maximum points for this race to take things through to the final round for the Macau Guia race here at Macau tomorrow. The scene is very well and truly set for the battle into Lisboa once again, because Ashkona right there with Rob Huff once again.
I think what Rob also tried to do on the mountain part of the circuit was stack Ashkona back into teammate Fred Verviche, but Fred hasn't stayed with the Hyundai, so Rob's still having to do this on his own pretty much as they come out of reservoir. So at that point, he has got 0.4 of a second onto the last lap's worth of an advantage. The lead gap is down to 9/10. Ashkona pulls out, so we've got a fight for the lead that's building, and definitely a fight for third. It's going to be a great last lap, this. Let's concentrate on third. First of all, it's Huff still ahead of Ashkona as they come down towards Lisboa. Look at how the lead gap has closed as well. Ashkona to the outside line. It's not worked before and it won't work this time. Huff's got the inside. Huff keeps third.
He defends beautifully into Lisboa, under pressure as well. He knew what was coming. It's the last chance to do that at Lisboa. It's the final lap, and Rob Huff has defended beautifully from Michael Ashkona, doing exactly what he needed to do. Not sure how chuffed he's going to be about being in third place, because he really wanted to be battling for second place and the lead of the race, but he's been defending throughout this race and doing exactly what was asked of him, defending beautifully.
So Huff for third, fourth is Ashkona, fifth is Verviche, but up front, 9/10 split Norbert Mikelic and Nestor Girolami starting the last lap. I don't think Nestor is close enough, nor does he have enough of the race in terms of overtaking opportunities to challenge, but he certainly brought down that gap against Norbert Mikelic, who is going to go into the last race tomorrow, 10th on the reverse grid, but with a really nice, healthy advantage in the championship.
So they thread their way through the tight and twisty section of the Guia circuit here at Macau, out of the right-hander at Moorish, and then on towards Donna Maria, the long left-hander. Has Rob been able to get himself a little bit of daylight between himself and Ashkona? Yes, he has, on the run now downhill into Macau hairpin, single file for the final time in the sunshine and the shade here at Macau. Through the Macau hairpin, is there going to be any kind of manoeuvre? No, there was a problem there for Ashkona going through the Macau hairpin. Dropped back a little bit from Rob Huff. There was a bit of a wiggle, wasn't there? And no place is lost, so Fred Verviche not able to capitalise on that. But at last, Rob Huff can breathe.
He can, and so can Norbert Mikelic, because he is going to go with an 18-point cushion into the championship showdown tomorrow. The only person that can stop him being the TCR World Tour champion is Rob Huff. But race one in the Guia race is going to be won by Norbert Mikelic. He wins at Macau. Nestor Girolami second, Rob Huff third, fourth Michael Ashkona, fifth Fred Verviche, and Jan Elaché can't win the championship, but he fights back after a bad start to sixth place. And the celebration then for the BRC Hyundai N Squadra Corsa, because that takes now Norbert Mikelic much closer to a championship. Slightly resigned expressions on the pit wall for the ComTu Audi team. But Rob Huff is not out of the equation yet, and from 10th on the grid, of course, the reverse grid, that's when Norbert Mikelic will start tomorrow. It puts him in jeopardy. There are cars all around him.
Yeah, so the celebrations for the team down in pit lane, and just a single thumbs up in the cockpit of the car, and keeping it cool, calm, because it's never over until it's over. And we have the Macau Guia race to look forward to tomorrow, another 9-lap race. We can say it now because we have a checkered flag and no interruptions during that race. Superb.
Yeah, well, I think we used the expression, didn't we? Touring car drivers driving properly and all of that. Well, it was quality racing and quality driving and respectful driving.
Yeah.
You know, that fight between Ashkona and Huff might only have been for third place, but 2 stars doing it properly. Very, very impressive indeed.
Clean, tidy, and we have a championship that goes into the final round of the year for the Kumho TCR World Tour event of Macau. Rob Huff looks like he's just been out for a little Sunday afternoon drive, doesn't he? Looks very cool, very calm. He'll be very hot and bothered when he gets out of the car for sure. It's a cockpit that rises above 50 degrees in the conditions of a hot day like we've got here at Macau today. But these drivers keep themselves very, very fit indeed to be able to deal with that sort of defence out on track, and the temperature as well. Super stuff by the top 3. They'll be arriving down in Parc Fermé. They will be shepherded over to the podium in due course. Checkered flag still waving as the rest of the field come through.
Norbert Mikulic has already won this year at Portimao, at Vallelunga, and then had a win at Bathurst, which set him up nicely coming here this weekend. So another good result. It's been a really competitive year. There's been this relatively small band that have done the entire tour, and obviously local drivers have supplemented that, but the concept of trying to keep alive a world championship has worked, because next year it's going to get an FIA rubber stamp on it. So the world tour has continued, and by having it in this fashion, allowing local drivers to drop in and out to boost the entry, and on occasions surprise us, like with, for example, Will Brown being one of the real stars when they went to Eastern Creek, or what's it called now, Sydney Motorsports Park, taking a couple of wins, you know, bringing people in, same spec of car, level playing field, good racing, local knowledge. It's really made an interesting year.
I don't suppose they really knew at the start of this year whether it was going to be a success or not,
no.
And it has been a success. But that's the same as TCR anyway. When TCR came in as a concept, I don't think anyone really knew whether it was going to be the huge success that it has been globally, because there are such prestigious championships right the way around the world for TCR spec touring cars. And that means they're available in many parts of the world as well.
And you don't have to run them in TCR, because of course they're eligible for the Creventic 24-hour series. There's a class for them in the NLS and the Nürburgring 24 hours. So you can get a lot of mileage out of one of those cars, as the winning entrants are sent to the pit lane and the Parc Fermé area there, and the others to the scrutineering bay. But Norbert Mikulic will be delighted, as I say, an 18-point advantage now going into tomorrow's race. That just gets him even closer to the championship. And we've had a similar situation for another Hyundai driver in the China Touring Car Championship, so this could be a really good party from the Hyundai teams at the end of the weekend.
Yep, on Sunday they have the awards presentation, and multiple parties take place as that finishes with a huge firework display. Things to look forward to. The firework display takes place over the water, is very spectacular, as you would expect here at Macau. And Norby arrives down in Parc Fermé, gets himself out of the car once he's sorted out the belts inside the car. And Norby Mikulic once again is very happy at Macau. But slightly tempered celebrations, in as much as there is still work to be done tomorrow for the title. The Kumo TCR World Tour. Team are happy, that's for sure, and rightly so. And so too Girolami arriving in Parc Fermé, and Rob Huff as well.
Still in the match again. Wow, you are strong.
So I think Rob will be disappointed not to have been able to do anything about Girolami, but the Audi just did not seem to have the outright pace, did it? And you made the point that it's been a bit like that all weekend. It's been, to use that dreadful phrase for a driver, there or thereabouts, but it's never looked as sparkling. But I just do keep thinking that partly the Audi RS3 is coming towards the end of its development life, and it's just that bit harder to wring something out of it. That said, Nestor Girolami has worked wonders with the Honda Civic, because that's a venerable L shape, and didn't do the second part of qualifying after a red flag yesterday with a problem, but he's bounced back today in good style.
And what a history that car has got, the Honda, in TCR racing and in World Touring Car racing as well. Very, very impressive, that. And the victor, Norby Mikulic, enjoying the moment down in Parc Fermé, taking a bit of water on board as well. Chance for the drivers to catch up with each other. Should get the chance to hear from Norby down in the pit lane. And let's get down to Paul Jeffries with our winner.
Okay, I am here with our race winner, Norbert Mikulic, just celebrating with teammate Mikael Koda. Norbert, another weekend, another iconic track race win. How did that one go? Tell me all about it.
Yeah, it was a fantastic start. First of all, I was a bit worried if my getaway will be good enough, but I managed to keep the lead, and the car, like yesterday, was just great. So it wasn't easy because I was pushing flat out, but thanks to the team, because today, amazing day, thanks to the car that I had.
Things look good at the front of the field, but we never really saw a gap deform to Bebo Girolami. Were you managing the pace, or is that everything that we've got at this moment?
I was not managing. I was going flat out, probably I used the tires a bit too much in the beginning to make a small gap. But then towards the end, he was much stronger than me. So anyway, I expected something like this to happen. My plan was to build a gap and then to wait and see. But fortunately, it was a good strategy.
And it's an excellent start to the racing weekend. We go again tomorrow. How confident are you feeling on the reverse grid?
I don't know. Tomorrow is a new day. I mean, starting P10, you are in the middle of the pack, so anything can happen.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Derby. And let's head back up to the commentary box.
So good to hear from our race winner, and they'll be heading over towards the podium in a couple of moments in the sunshine here at Macau. So quick are they to get the next race ready. We've already got the grid boards in place, but confirmation of round 19 of 20 for the Kumo TCR World Tour event. Norbert Mikulits takes the win. Gilles Lamy in second place, Rob Huff in third place, Ashkona in fourth, Fred Vavish in fifth, Jan Ellershae recovering after a poor start in sixth place. Marc Ginois and Ted Bjork complete the top 8. And a full rundown of the results of the penultimate rounds of the tour ahead of the podium presentation. They're getting ready over the far side of the circuit for the podium. Garlands of victory will be awarded to the drivers, and the trophies. Rob Huff has a big trophy cabinet from Macau. He's probably got a Macau special trophy. Only third place today. And we're about to have a view back at a race that was without stoppage and many highlights during the penultimate round of the World Tour for TCR.
So spectacular touring car racing, spectacular GT racing will be next at Macau. But before all of that, Mikael Ashkona reflecting on his fourth place. The winning drivers have gone up to the podium. Gabriele Tarquini discussing the race with Ashkona. The main focus of that for him, that big battle that he had with Rob Huff. But Rob coming out on top. So the officials get ready for the penultimate race of today. The championship then, 18 points between Norbert Mikulits and Rob Huff going into tomorrow. So it certainly is going to be tough for Rob, but he will start ahead on the grid. And if he can make good progress over the first few corners and Norbert Mikulits get a bit stuck in the traffic, then suddenly the pendulum swings back in his direction. So it's not over until it's over. And not only is the Guia race a prestigious thing to win at Macau, so of course is the first Kumo TCR World Tour. So there's that to factor into the mix tomorrow as well. A number of the drivers that you see within the championship have dipped in and out, done local races like Will Brown and Tony D'Alberto. Tom Coronel, who's won TCR Europe, sadly not here this weekend. He did enter, but then elected not to race. But we had a good mix of drivers. Kobe Pauwels, also the Belgian driver, has also looked very impressive on his visits to the series in Europe during the course of 2023 as well. So from the technical area up to the podium, the drivers are taken, and then to the podium. And there will be two podiums for this. One, if you like, for the Guia race, and then one for TCR World Tour. But Norbert Mikulits to take the race win, to take the top step. The teams have all assembled at the bottom of the podium. In the background, with the Audi cap on, Chris Reinke, the head of Audi Sport Customer Racing, who's been looking after the teams for many a long year now, both in GT and touring cars. And Audi Sport as a brand has had a huge amount of success as well. So the doors to the podium.
Ladies and
open.
gentlemen,
We're
welcome to the 70th Macau Grand Prix. Now it's the Macau Gear Race Kumho TCR World Tour event of Macau Race 1 trophy presentation ceremony. We will be presenting 2 sets of trophy at this ceremony. They are the trophies for Macau Gear Race and the trophies for 2023 TCR World Tour in Macau Race 1. First of all, let's welcome our top 3 finishers to the podium. On the second runner-up, number 179, Rup Hof from the UK.
Attention in the paddock, Macau GT Cup and FIA GT World Cup cars. Paddock gate and pit exit are now open. Paddock gate and pit exit are now open.
Welcome, Hoof. And the first run-up is number 129, Nestor Girolami. Congratulations. And our winner driver is number 105, Norbert Michelis. Congratulations to the top 3 winners. Now, it's time for the national anthem for the Thank you. And now may I invite the following guests to present the laurel and the trophy for Macau Gear Race to our winners. First of all, let's welcome Mr. Buddy Lam, Executive Vice President, Corporate Office of Galaxy Entertainment Group, to present the laurel and the trophy for Macau Gear Race. First to our second runner-up, Rob Hoof. Congratulations. And I would like to also invite Mr. Lam to present the laurel and the trophy for Macau Gear Race to our first runner-up, Nestor Girolami. Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Lam. Now I would like to invite Mr. Poon Wan Kun, President of the Sports Bureau and Coordinator of the Macau Grand Prix Organizing Committee, to present the laurel and trophy for Macau Gear Race to the winner driver, Norbert Michelis. Congratulations. And I would like to invite the guests together at the center and take a photo together. Drivers can reach to the top of the podium as well. Thank you, guests. And I would like to invite the drivers, please remain on the podium. And now I would like to invite the winning team, Team BRC, the representative, Gianluca Diana. And Mr. Poon Wan Kun, President of the Sports Bureau and Coordinator of the Macau Grand Prix Organizing Committee, will be presenting the trophy for 2023 TCR World in Macau Race 1. Also to the winning team, once again, BRC. Congratulations. Will all the guests please gather at the center and take a photo together? Thank you. Please look to the front and take a photo together. Congratulations once again to the top 3 winners of Macau Gear Race Kum Ho TCR World Tour event of Macau Race 1. Thank you, guests. And again, driver, please remain at the podium as it's the champagne shower time. And we will be sharing your glory moments, or the audience.